Hey, welcome back. This is Erin. It is video number 2. I am so excited to be doing this series with you. And today we are going to be talking about needs, each other's needs. And the biggest thing that I have learned, I think, in my marriage is that men and women need different things. And the first thing that men need is respect. And what women need is love. And you will actually find that this is biblically based. If you go and look it up in scriptures, God commands the man to love his wife, and it commands the woman to respect her husband. And it's very interesting because anytime my husband and I have any kind of like squabble or disagreement about something, it always comes out. He will say something to the effect, well, I felt so disrespected by blank. And fill in the blank to whatever it is that I had done, sometimes, most of the time, hopefully, unintentionally. And I didn't mean to disrespect him, but for a woman, sometimes that thought process does not come naturally for me. I want to feel love. I want to feel loved. I want to give love. That's easy and natural for me. I feel like that's really how God created and made women. And for men, they want to be respected. And so that is some of the highest needs, I think, of each other. And so sometimes we have to think about, like, even though, like, for Valentine's Day, let's say, I might want to get love in the fact of flowers and a nice card and a long written spiel about how he loves me, right? That's what I would naturally want to do for him. But I also need to then figure out, okay, he wants to be respected. How can I show him respect? And sometimes that comes down to the littlest things. For example, I'm home with my girls all day long. So let's say, for example, my husband is a neat freak, okay? Which actually I love because then I'm not always the one cleaning up all the time, right? But for example, when he is not home and the girls make a mess underneath the kitchen table, I want to clean up that mess under the table just as if he were home to respect him. And then the girls see that I'm respecting their father. So you really want to make sure that through all these things that you're always keeping in mind the fact that we as women want to be loved, but our husbands truly and deeply want to be respected. So one of the things that is crucial to this is how you talk about your spouse when they are not around. How do you portray your spouse to your friends, to your family, on social media? I'm not saying that you and your spouse always have to agree and you always have to get along, but you cannot badmouth your spouse. Can't happen. I grew up in a house where I never heard my parents speak ill of each other, ever. Like, I can't even tell you a time. I just thought that was normal. So it was very easy for me to adapt that kind of mindset. They didn't even talk about anyone else behind their back, let alone each other. But I never heard them speak bad about each other. And until I started seeing other marriages and having friends complain or other family members complain about their significant other, I realized, oh, that's not good. Because then what does the respect for your spouse do for those other people? All of a sudden, if you have no respect for your spouse by speaking bad about them behind their back, the people you're talking to, it lowers their respect for your husband. I know, isn't that crazy? Never even had thought about that until it was kind of pointed out to me. But you as their wife have to be their number one supporter. So again, like I said, that doesn't mean you're not going to have disagreements and arguments or might not agree on the same thing, but don't tell other people that. Okay, if you want to go see a counselor and seek, confidentiality, where you can learn and to work through some of the differences that you and your spouse have, that's totally different. You just don't want to go gossip to family members, friend, and on social media about some of the negative things maybe that have gone on in your relationship, that have gone on with your spouse, or behaviors of your spouse. So that's the number one thing, the need for him to be respected, okay? And now I know sometimes, here's the hard part. You would say, well, if I felt loved by him, then I would show him respect. That's not how this is going to work, okay? Sometimes you have to be the first to show, and you have to show repeatedly, over and over and over, right? So God does not call us to say, well, you can respect your husband if he loves you first. No. We need to respect no matter what, okay? And I know that's not always easy, and I know that's not always hard. Again, I'm talking to the very basic, I don't want to say basic, but the normal kind of behaviors. If you're in a relationship that is, doing dealing with abuse or other things that are more detriment, then you need to go talk to a professional. But I'm talking about our average everyday squabbles and frustrations that we have with each other. So that's the first thing. The second thing that has helped me tremendously, and I'm not perfect at it, let me start there, but I never wanted to be a nagging wife. I didn't want to be a nagging wife. I wanted to be a Proverbs 31 wife, right? So one of the things that I have learned is, let's say, for example, I asked my husband to take the trash out. And it's been a half an hour to an hour later, and I'm not sure if he remembered to take out the trash. So instead of saying, honey, have you taken out the trash yet? Instead, I just thank him. Hey, Wes, by the way, thank you so much for taking out the trash. If he hasn't taken out the trash, he will most likely respond with, oh, I totally forgot. Thank you so much for the reminder. And he's not offended. He's not upset. He's not put on the defensive because I thanked him for doing something. Now, I know it seems silly to thank them for doing the taking out the trash, but anytime they do any kind of household, doing something with the kids, whatever it is, thank them. Wouldn't you like to be thanked for bathing the kids or making dinner or doing the groceries, whatever it is? It never hurts to thank one another, okay? Because by thanking each other, you're also putting little, for him, you're showing him the respect. If he does it for you, you're getting those little amounts of love pieces that you want back. So keep those things in mind. Just even the little things that you say thank you for, and instead of nagging, just thanking them for something, that's going to help, and it's going to go a long way. Saying I love you and showing affection, giving each other a hug and a kiss, like I mentioned in the video yesterday, hugging and kiss when they first get home from work, letting kids see that affection. Again, the couch time, being able to sit down on the couch, even if it's for 5 minutes, tell the kids, look, mom and dad are just going to talk for 5 minutes. It's good for them to see it. It's good for you guys to have that connection as well. Learning each other's love languages. You can go to 5 love languages if you Google it, and you can do the love language test and see which of the love languages your spouse responds best to. Because chances are it's not going to be the same as yours, and the way that you want to show is usually the way you want to receive it back. So you really want to figure out what they want, and so you can start thinking in terms of, okay, how would you like to see love and respect, right? And hopefully then you could do this love language test together, and your spouse would be willing to, understand and kind of see where you're at and the things that you need as well. So the next thing that I want to talk about is a big need, I feel like, especially on the husband side, is a need for physical intimacy. And I will tell you that this has a large range. And if you are dealing with some serious issues from the past or whatever, then seriously, please go and talk to a counselor. But I'm just talking on the basic level. I remember from the very beginning, my mom had told me that you never use sexual intimacy as a weapon or as a means to get something. Okay, so which means you don't withhold if you are mad at them, and you don't do it just for them to do something for you. Does that make sense? And, I know when you have young kids, it is hard to find time. It just is, let's be honest. Usually by the end of the day, you're tired and you're like, really? But we have had to find a way to make a time. And sometimes, unfortunately, in this season of our life with the young kids, it's like scheduled, which sounds like totally unromantic, right? But if we don't make sure that we make time to get that in, it doesn't happen, right? It's not the same as it was when we were single. Not single, when we were married, but without children, okay? And so that is an important aspect. And I feel like I just listened to actually 2 men do a date night training where they talked about this. And they said just having that physical intimacy helps them so much in responding to us and dealing with their wife. And I know that might sound weird or unfair or unselfish or whatever it is. The point is, it's not only good for them, but it's good for you as the wife. It's good for you guys to have that physical intimacy and to be together and to be able to share in that, because that's what God created it for. Okay? And I guarantee that you will definitely feel more of a closeness if you make time for that in your life. All right? So if that's been a struggle for you guys, make sure for sure that you talk about that. In tomorrow's video, we will talk more about, arguments and communication and things like that. But definitely for sure, make sure that's part of your regular activity. The other things that you can do is make sure you're still flirting together, doing date nights, which I know we talked about, showing affection. Make sure you thank God for your spouse every day, okay? Thank God for your spouse and your mate, and imperfections and all, okay? So I know sometimes it might not always be easy and you might be struggling. Here's what I suggest, and I totally took this idea from someone else, so I can't take credit, but you want to do a thank you journal. If you're struggling with your relationship with your spouse or struggling to feel grateful for them, I highly recommend that you do a thankful journal. And I actually did this just recently. I just started, and I just did a scrap piece of paper. It doesn't have to be pretty. I mean, you can make it pretty if you want, but I just wanted to start. And I tried to write down one thing every day I was thankful for my spouse for. Now, it was as simple as he did the groceries, or he helped out putting the kids to bed. Sometimes it was that, he took me out on a date night. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but every day if you focus on something you're thankful for your spouse, then you can present that as a gift to him. So I did that for Christmas, and he loved it. He actually said to me, he goes, I have this many things for you to be thankful about. I mean, it was amazing. He said it was the best, most thoughtful gift anyone's ever given him. And like I said, it was on notebook paper, okay? And I tried to go back at least once a week and write down things that happened throughout the week, so I didn't always remember every day. You don't have to make it every day, okay? It just has to be real and raw. And those are the things that I think will go a long way, not only with your attitude, but then with your spouse as well. So you can give that to them as a present. Be happy and excited to see your spouse when they get home. Know when your spouse has faults and where they struggle, and try to be supportive. One of my biggest issues that I am working on is with dealing with my husband's, sometimes his anger, or he tends to yell, and then, in front of the kids, I'll do the eye roll, or, why are you yelling at them? I never yell at the kids, right? I don't know where this is coming from. But those kinds of things, I have to really try to think about being more respectful in the way that if I don't appreciate or like some of the ways that he's addressed the kids, not to address it in front of the children, okay? Like I'm telling you right now, this is one of my biggest struggles. I have to work on this. But that is one thing that we've learned is, he's like, don't treat me like a child in front of the children. Don't be my mother, right? And so that's one of the things that I'm working on. And if that's something you do well and you have some ideas, please let me know how I can be better about that. But those are some of the other things, again, that show respect is I am trying to be better about not showing my emotion or reaction if I'm not liking something. And then once the kids are in bed, or we can go into a different room, and then we can discuss those issues, but just not in front of the kids. The very last thing, hold on, let me look at my notes real quick. Okay, I just want to make sure I had everything covered. The very last thing that we have to remember is that marriage is not 50-50, it's 100-100, which sounds very awkward to say. But you have to give all of yourself, and they have to give all of themselves. And I know sometimes not every marriage is 100-100, but you can't justify their behavior and say, well, I'm not going to give 100% because they don't. That's not how marriage works. And if you really, truly want to improve your marriage and want to change that and hopefully maybe help increase that percentage on both sides, then you have to show up. You have to do what you can. You have to be the godly woman, mother, and wife that God has called you to be, regardless of their behavior. Because it doesn't matter what they do or how they do. All that matters is your reaction and how you choose to deal with it. So for example, I have a friend whose husband travels a lot. He is gone a lot. And I said to her, how do you deal with that? That would be so hard for me. Because then I hear her talk about him going on a golf outing with some friends or going away for the weekend. And I just think, oh my gosh, that's so unfair. And she's like, no. She's like, if you don't change your mindset, you will be miserable. She's like, it's not a 50-50 thing. It's not like if he gets to go golfing, then I get to go out and do stuff with my girlfriends. It's not that she doesn't get to do that stuff, but she's totally changed her mindset on what their role is for their family. He is supporting their family. He is trying to make them have financial freedom, right? So they both have to understand where they're at. And she looks at it as like, I get to be my kid's best friend. I get to be the one that they call and want to be around all the time. I am the one who gets to care for my children that I wanted to have. So again, it's all about your mindset. And where are you at with the relationship truly? Are you blaming the other person for what's gone on and what's happened? Or are you willing to step up and take responsibility for where you're at and how to improve the marriage? And you can only improve your actions. You can't improve their actions. But by continually improving what you do and how you react and how you treat your spouse will be a game changer down the road. Okay, and it's not going to happen overnight, and I wish I could tell you that it would, and it probably won't. But if you continue time and time and time again to not always be the martyr, but to show up and lovingly do these things and treat your spouse with respect and with love, then I guarantee you, you will see a change. I hope this video was helpful for you. I would love to hear what things that I spoke about stuck out to you, and I would love to hear 2 or 3 things from you that you think that you want to work on and things that will help improve your marriage. You guys have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.